FY20, which is just 0.7% of our gross booking revenues for FY20. Similarly, our other expenses and employee expenses for FY20 were just 1.7 and 0.7% respectively of our GBR for FY20. Despite the COVID year, where our gross booking revenues fell to 50%, which our overall expenses, we successfully managed to reduce our overall expenses also by 50% in this year. We have been continuously innovating and increasing operational efficiencies to attain better profitability. For instance, we are one of the first companies in OTA space to go live with WhatsApp chatbot, where the queries of customers can be resolved over WhatsApp rather than on the call. This enables our executive to manage 8 to 9 customers at a time rather than attending one call of a customer at a time. There are other multiple initiatives taken by the company to continuously innovate for better customer experiences and attain more and more efficiency in operation. Let me spend some couple of minutes on industry trend. We have witnessed a black swan event in COVID-19 in FY20, where all India lockdown and subsequent travel restrictions had practically pressed the pause button on travel and tourism industry. We, however, witnessed a V-shaped curve.
The line for Mr. Pitti is disconnected. Kindly stay on line till I reconnect him. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Prashant Pitti reconnected to the call. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Sure. Okay. We, however, witnessed the V-shaped recovery for Q4 of FY21, where our gross booking revenues were as high as 89% of Q4 of FY20. We believe there is a huge pent-up demand for travel and tourism post the vaccination drive across India, and people are waiting to travel and go on holidays. Once the situation normalizes and is under control, we anticipate that there is going to be a revenge travel, and we foresee good growth in coming years across the sectors. We are working on the ground and monitoring the situation very closely and adapting to all the evolving environment for increasing our efficiency and growth prospects. Our strategies going forward will be to sustain and attain high growth in air travel segment. We are entering into partnerships with international airlines to boost our international air segment. We recently signed up a deal with Just Dial, where all their flight tickets on their portal will be exclusively powered by EaseMyTrip, giving access to their millions of customers. We are also focusing on hotel and holiday segment and strengthening that vertical with multiple innovative business models. Our revenue contribution from hotel and holiday packages has increased to 5.4% in FY20, which was 2.7% in FY19. Our strategy will be to focus on not charging convenience fees and grow via word of mouth and provide better customer experiences. Now let me take you through our operational and financial highlights for Q4 and FY21. As mentioned, we witnessed a V-shaped recovery in Q4 of FY21. Our gross booking revenue for Q4 stood at 907 crores as compared to 1,024 crores for Q4 of FY20, down only by 11%. Gross booking revenue for entire FY21 stood at 2,128 crores as compared to 4,200 crores. That was majorly impacted due to COVID-19 and subsequent travel restrictions. Our adjusted revenues include revenues from operation, discounts that we offer to customers, and income from claims returned back in UAC. For FY21, For quarter 4 of FY21, that number stood at around 100 crores as compared to 54.9 crores for quarter 4 of FY20. The growth of 82% on year-on-year basis. Detailed breakup of revenue has been uploaded in investor presentation. Our adjusted revenue for FY21 stood at 198 crores as compared to 286 crores in FY20. Despite low gross booking revenues and income for FY21, our PAT for FY21 grew by 86% from 33 crores in FY20 to 61.4 crores in FY21. The increase in profitability was driven by increase in margins and commission and reduction in operational expenses, including reduction in discount, marketing, sales promotion, and employee expenses. The net impact on the reduction of total expenditure was from rupees 135 crores in FY20 to 67 crores in FY21. Our adjusted total income, which includes discount offered to customers as a percentage of gross booking revenue for FY21 stood at 9.88% as compared to 7.26% in FY20. Few balance sheet highlights. Well, we are zero debt company with cash and term deposits in hand of rupees 242 crores as on FY21, which was 146 crores in FY20. Our cash flow from operation stood at 73.8 crores in FY21 as compared to 27.5 crores in FY20. Our OCF to EBITDA for FY21 stood at 84%, demonstrating that the company's strength of converting EBITDA to cash. Return on capital employed stood at 48.3% for FY21, which was 275 bps higher compared to the last year, and return on equity stood at 37.5% for FY21, which was 493 bps higher compared to the last year. To conclude, we would like to highlight that the increasing revenue on the backup of huge pent-up demand for the sector, operational efficiency, and increasing margins due to operating leverage will significantly improve the returning ratios and free cash for the company in the future. With this, I'd like to open up the floor to discuss.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Manish Ostwal from Nirmal Bang. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations for good set of numbers for FY21. My first question on the revenue mix trajectory for the company over the medium term. Currently, we are largest pie from the airline ticket booking, and you alluded in the analyst meet at the time of IPO also and today also. You want to increase the revenue from the hotel and holiday segment. So, if you see the 3 to 5 year perspective, where do you see the pie is shifting from the current heavy airline mix to the other segments?
Well, thank you, Manish, for asking this question. The company is taking every possible step to increase our business on the other side. But to give you a background, this was important for us to focus on one particular segment and get it right. And that is precisely what the company has done. But in the last 2 or 3 years, the company has started seeing the tailwind, moving towards getting more businesses from the other directions as well. And one of the simplest policies which company is using right now is that the company has created a humongous amount of goodwill by not charging customers convenience fees over the last 13 years. And we are utilizing that goodwill that our company is a fair pricing company. And we are utilizing that goodwill by doing cross-selling. If somebody is buying an air ticket, we are offering them our hotel, we are offering them our holiday packages via email, via WhatsApp information and other details. And that is how the company is growing. And I've shared the number of how the growth happened from FY19 till FY20. This COVID year is slightly as an exception. However, we look forward to continue growth in our hotel and holiday department in the near future.
Okay, I'm just referring one of the media article recently. They said the promoter have other interests apart from the Ease My Trip business. So core and filmmaking. Can you clarify what is the other interest of promoter apart from the Ease My Trip?
The company, the article you might be mentioning is a dated article, 3-year-old article, and the companies and promoters do not have any other business line of interest as an interest. We are solely focused on Ease My Trip. There is so much more for us to grow, and we are growing in this right direction.
Right. And last question, how do you deploy your cash on balance sheet? Are you strengthen your positioning in the marketplace through acquisition or higher dividend payout? What is the overall strategy on capital allocation? Because you generating a lot of cash in your business.
That is a very valid question. What you're asking is that the company is generating a lot of PAT and how we will be utilizing this PAT. So to answer that question, we do have a dividend policy. In April, the company distributed 21.7 crores as an interim dividend. While declaring and recommending dividend in the future, our board will focus on sustainable return through an appropriate capital allocating strategy in medium or long-term range. About the organic or inorganic growth, I may not be able to comment anything right now about it.
Sir, one question on the industry side. Since the last 1 year has been very tough for the travel and hospitality industry, so do you see the competitive intensity, especially in the online ticket booking space, will decline over the next couple of years because already companies are facing a lot of losses? So I'm talking of the larger players will have a more prudent approach in terms of pricing than the otherwise. What is your view, sir?
My view is of the same as what you have suggested. I believe that this, pandemic probably will bring sanity to the industry where people will realize that cash is the king and there is no point burning money on unnecessary marketing and deep discounts. And we believe our company will be one of the biggest beneficiaries as the competition intensity decreases and everybody moves towards becoming profitable one day.
Right, sir. Thank you very much for answering my question. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Venkat Samala from Tata Asset Management Company. Please go ahead.
Hi, Prashant and team. Congratulations on a very successful listing and very good set of results. So my first question is, I just wanted to understand that the commission rates or the take rates that you get from the airlines has gone up quite a bit, right? I mean, compared to last year. So what has actually caused the same and how much sustainable is this?
Sure. Thanks, Venkat, for asking this question. Well, if you see that our other current assets have increased during this time period. If you look at our, balance sheet, you will find that our other current assets has increased. Now that has increased because we are giving advance deposits to airlines, specifically LCCs, and also bus operators, and also few hotels. Now these advance deposits are going to them. These advance deposits do not have any end period, and we are usually giving them 5 or 6 days in advance to get better commissions from them. We understood during the pandemic time that most of our suppliers would be slightly credit hungry, cash hungry, and that is how we were able to take advantage of getting better commissions from them.
Understood. Could you quantify this amount? I mean, what would that be at the end of March 31, FY21?
So I think our other current assets is around 81 crores, which was around 30 crores a year back. So effectively, it's almost about 50 odd crores as more of an advance which is going, but which is bringing beautiful results to the company.
Understood. Right. But this amount is being extended after due diligence, right? I mean, there should not be any provisions moving forward, right? If some of them turn bad, I mean, the debtors.
We are being extremely careful in whom we are choosing to give our advance amount, and this is only for 5 days in advance. This is not for months in advance.
Understood. Right. So to that extent, it may not be recurring, right?
So it is a recurring in nature. You mean that would this continue post-pandemic? Is that the question?
Right.
So that depends. We are open to continuing this for eternity, but we will see where it goes. But yes, it also depends on what the terms and conditions come in the future.
Right. And just a follow up to that is, if I look at the results which were put out by your peers as well, the take rates for them has also gone up. So this could be something which is sort of an industry phenomenon, right?
I cannot comment about how others are doing. This is how we are doing this.
Sure. Fair enough. Okay. And with respect to the savings that you were able to generate on your cost, what amount of that could be structural and what would we say coming back as the revenues return to normalcy?
Great question. So a lot of structural savings which we made are basically long in the nature. For example, the amounts which the maximum value which we got was from the other expenses. The other expenses, the employee expenses, the marketing expenses, the discount, we reduced from all the places. I believe that the employee expenses and the other expenses is something which probably will remain for the future as well. The company, to elaborate more about it, as soon as lockdown was enacted upon, our company knew that the business as usual will be slightly less. So we took a call of actually hiring more technology staff. We increased our technology staff team from, I believe, 45 people to 64 people in the first 2 months of the lockdown. Now, why did we do that? We decided that we will keep our heads down and become even more efficient by doing as much as automation work as we can. So there are multiple things the company has done during the lockdown period. To give you a few examples, one of the things which I mentioned was the WhatsApp chatbot, right? Which enabled company to basically be very less dependent on the call center. Since one agent is able to speak to multiple customers at the same chat with multiple customers at the same time, while earlier he was on the phone with one customer at a time. And also it's a great customer delight. As a customer, why would you want to be on hold for half an hour? Instead, you would just drop a message on WhatsApp to get your reply back, right? That was one of the examples which we did. We actually completely revamped our APIs for basically selecting your seat, for adding a meal, for adding a baggage. Now, we have made all these services automatic for when you are booking the flight or even when you are modifying your flight. This is all done via APIs now, which has again, given us huge reduction on employee side, and also the margins are better for all these auxiliary services. The company has also automated a lot of our rescheduling APIs, because of which we were able to cut down on our reschedule and reissue teams from around 30 odd people to 5 odd people who are handling exceptions right now. So all these gains are there for the long period, according to us.
Understood. Right. And you were able to save on...
Mr. Samala.
Okay, sure. I'll come back. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Madhu Babu from Canara HSBC. Please go ahead.
Sir, again, the cash burn in the airlines have increased in 1Q. So do you expect similar take rates in 1Q as well? I mean, the funding, and how actually this working capital cycle works? I mean, when let us say I book a ticket for 30 days in advance, so how do the payment and how that whole working capital cycle works? Thanks.
I'll explain about the working cycle first. So let's say you come to EasyMatrix and you pay us 4,000 rupees for a ticket, which is, let's say, even 100 days in advance. It doesn't matter. We immediately book the ticket using a real-time system, using the API. There is no pre-purchase the company does. Immediately, we make the purchase. We have given them some advance, as I mentioned. And the money which, let's say you purchase the ticket for 4,000 rupees, the 4,000 rupees gets deducted from our account, the deposits which we have given to them, minus our commissions. Some commissions we get immediately, some commissions we get on quarterly basis or yearly basis. So the money goes directly to the airlines right at the moment when you book the tickets. And if you cancel the ticket, we collect the money from the airlines and we give it back to you. This is how the payment cycle works. So in effect, there is no liability which the company holds on the payment side, which we have to pay to the airlines later. The money gets paid right away at that particular time. And what was your first question?
The cash burn again in 1Q FY22 has increased for airlines. So any change in our take rates and how that is going to work?
So I may not be able to talk about Q1 right now specifically, but I believe that the industry is progressing the same way as what it was progressing earlier.
Okay. And just on the last one on the hotel booking, which you plan to scale up, so how the take rates and how the dynamics there works out? Thanks.
So the dynamics for the hotel business, the way we do our hotel business is slightly different. We have 23 aggregators on the back end. So let's say if you're searching for XYZ hotel on EaseMyTrip, we will fetch the price from 23 aggregators whom we have on the back end. And whoever is showing the cheapest price, we show that price to you. You pay that amount to EaseMyTrip. You do not get redirected. You pay that amount to EaseMyTrip. We keep our commission, which is usually 10 to 15%. We keep our commission and we pass on the remaining amount to the aggregator. That aggregator gives us the hotel voucher. We put EaseMyTrip stamp on it and we give it to you. Nowhere you were redirected. Customer does not know where we bought this hotel voucher from. The customer's experience is same as what they are experiencing on our competitors' website. And this way the transaction is complete. Now through this means, we have a higher likelihood to show you a cheaper price because it's not just one of my teams who is negotiating rates with the hotel. I am getting rates from 23 different vendors who have negotiated rates with hotels. And likelihood for me to get cheaper prices increases dramatically. This is the innovative business model which we are following in our hotels and which is helping us grow in cash EBITDA positive fashion.
So just last one on the Just Dial tie-up. I mean, obviously I've read on that. So how is that working? Because Just Dial is good on the B2C. So any leverage that has come from that? Thanks.
So the business is very new. I may not be able to share any number, but you're absolutely right. Just Dial is big on B2C. They have millions and millions of their own customers. And if you go to justdial.com right now, you will see a flight button over there. Once you click on that flight button, the entire page is powered by EaseMyTrip. And any ticket which is booked on Just Dial will be powered by EaseMyTrip. And all those numbers will be added to our B2B section.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prateek Kumar from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, good evening, sir. Thanks for the opportunity and congrats for great results. My first question is regarding this other current assets you mentioned. So, like for forecast purpose, so would it like sort of grow as a percentage of sales, something like that, or how would this like sort of grow in like 22 or 23?
Sure. So right now we are treating this as, an interim value which company is able to derive by offering additional advances to the suppliers. That may not be true over the long period of term. We don't know that yet. Only time will tell. But in short, it should be a function of our GMV, if that's what you're saying. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Secondly, on just related, what is this current loan related to on our balance sheet, which is also a relatively sizable?
The loans are also deposits to the suppliers, primarily to our subsidiaries, foreign subsidiaries.
Okay. And just one question on ad spend. So while our revenues or gross bookings like sort of are expected to grow like this year or next year. So how could our ad spend like can it like go back to 25-30 crores, which was there like earlier that year?
So we do not actually take the actual amount into consideration. The way we look at the business is we would want to spend as much as we could, but while remaining profitably in a healthy manner. This is how we work. We know that this is the margin which we are going to get. Now, of the margin, how much money do we want to allocate in marketing is the thought process of the company. And usually we would want to keep it between 0.5 to 0.7% of the entire gross booking revenues the company is going to generate in that particular quarter or that particular financial year.
Right. Thanks, sir. I'll get back with you.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jayesh Shah from OHM Portfolio Equi Research. Please go ahead.
Hi, congrats for a very impressive set of numbers. Can you just explain this discount to customers item that you have? Because what I'm seeing is that the run rate for the current last quarter is 33 crores. But for the full year, you just have 60 crores. And what is interesting is when I compare the last year's 20 crores run rate versus last year's overall discount cost of 124 crores. So what am I missing here? Because apparently this doesn't seem to give a very clear picture. So if you can explain that.
I understand your question. In the interest of others, I'll actually explain your question a little bit more detail. The question is, why our discount to customers particularly grew during this quarter, the quarter 4. Now, the answer to that is very simple. The discount to customer is actually a function of how markets are doing, how our competitors are doing. If our competitors are intensifying during that particular quarter and are giving more discounts, then we are also bound to give slightly more discounts. It is a function of competition. See, the money which we earn from the airlines or hotels or tour operation comes to us, and then we decide what kind of discount do we want to give, and it's usually a function of how markets are behaving. So for this particular quarter, I believe the discounts were slightly on the higher side, but that is a function of the market, and we have to play by that.
I see. So this number can actually vary quarter on quarter.
That is correct. However, in the long run, we believe this number to substantially decrease because of the consolidation which is happening in the market, and since EaseMarket is a publicly listed company, and I believe that our competition is also seeing that there is a way to do this business profitably. And I believe that because of the consolidation and because of EaseMarket's step, I believe that the rationalization of not giving too much of discount will come in our competition's mind as well. And overall, this number will decrease going forward.
Right. And so if I look at again last year, out of a total revenue of 140 crores, you had 124 crores worth of discount, which has come down to something like 106 crore of revenue and 60 crore of discounts. So what is really sustainable in your sense? And I also wanted an idea as to, if I look at overall cost X of discount, is the last quarter a sustainable run rate, or that can also change?
So the way I look at it is the revenue from operation plus discount plus UAC should be our adjusted revenue. So when you see discount as a function, I would recommend you to look at discount divided by adjusted revenue, not revenue from operations, because as per the accounting policies, we remove the discount and then only we show revenue from operations, just like everybody else. I hope that clarifies.
Right. And on the overall other costs, if I look at your other costs, X discount, is this the quarterly run rate that one can expect? And are these generally fixed costs?
So I will give you this answer in a different way. Our company's gross booking revenue decreased by 50% for the entire year, right?
Right.
Now, so did our entire expenses. This is how agile this company is. See, it is a very difficult thing for companies to decrease their discounts, fixed discounts like employees or admin expenses, right? But our company is an extremely agile company. And to be honest, this COVID-19 was a litmus test for travel companies, where unfortunately many of them had to even shut shop. But our company's foundations and fundamentals are so strong that we can reduce our discount, we can reduce our expenses in the lines of gross booking revenue and earning more revenues by getting better margin and hence being more profitable than ever.
Right. And lastly, whilst I realize that you are number two.
Sir, this is the conference operator. Would request you to rejoin the queue for follow-up questions.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vimal Gohil from Union Asset Management Company. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Sir, my question is related to one of the previous participants' questions regarding the take rates. And the take rates, you explained that they have increased partially because of the fact that you have given higher amount of advances to the airlines and others this quarter. Now, I just want to understand on what basis do you decide how much of advances do you have to give this quarter or next quarter? So, are there any parameters? If yes, if you could just explain what those quantitative or qualitative parameters are. And again, I would like to again ask whether the take rates are sort of sustainable going forward, because that's the most important parameter of your business.
Absolutely. So, firstly, the take rates were not changed during the quarter four. Our take rates have been substantially high for the entire FY21. If you please look at it, you will find the same strategy going throughout the pandemic time. To let you know, the quantitative and qualitative analysis would be somewhat of a trade secret on the call on what basis do we decide. But the calls which we have taken have come out very fruitful to the company, and we would like to continue doing that. One of the basic principles on which we take this call is basically to ensure that the operations the supplier is running is very smooth and it will not get disrupted in the next 5 or 6 days, because that is the amount of advance which we are giving to them.
Right. So at least the advance that you are giving to the airlines will continue for a long period of time, is it? Which means higher working capital?
We would wish so, but it's also a matter of whether the other party also wishes to take or not, right? It's not only for us to decide. But we believe that this process might continue for a long duration.
Does that mean better take rates then?
As I said, that it also depends on whether the other person is interested in continuing the deal which we forged during the COVID times. But if that's the case, then yes, the take rates will continue.
Fair enough, sir. And sir, just to sort of drive back on margins, and a lot of you said that your employee cost is something which will probably, the savings that you have made will stay. Does that mean that going forward you will see this usual inflationary level of increase in your employee costs, whereas you'll be able to sort of take out more and more efficiencies going forward? So in terms of modeling, should we model the normal inflation level growth in employee costs, or how should we sort of see it?
It's a very good question, and thank you for asking. See, this is the beauty of internet companies. We are working 100% on internet. The only way for you to use EaseMarket is use our website or our application, right? Now, this is the beauty of internet companies. We keep attaining more and more operational efficiency by hitting more and more economies of scale. This is why internet companies are so valued, even if they are loss-making. Now, EaseMarket, on the other hand, is a different story. We are already profitable. We were always profitable. But that does not take away from the fact that we are the fastest growing OTA, which is 100% internet and e-commerce company. So yes, as we keep hitting more and more economies of scale, our admin costs, our employee costs need not go up in the same fashion. Of course, it may go up slightly, let's say 5 to 10% on year-on basis, 10 to 15% year-on-year basis, but it should not go up significantly higher because of the fact that the entire business is run by technology.
Fair enough, sir. Thank you very much for clarification and all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, would request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Shyam Sundar Sriram from Sundaram Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Good evening. Thanks for taking the question and wonderful performance in the exit quarter, sir. So my first question is, if you see our fourth quarter performance sequentially, we have done much better than the underlying domestic passenger industry. So clearly, we would have had some market share gains as well. If you can talk about our market share gains year on year, and where are we in terms of market share at the end of this F21, not the full year. Q4 exit could be a better representative because it is more a normalized quarter per se. And while you are at it, sir, if you can also talk about our take rate 6.3% split between the commissions and the other revenues. If you can give some sense of how that was. Along with that, the discounts in Q4, like people were asking on that, has been going up. We also saw Flipkart buying ClearTrip per se. Do you see competitive intensity increasing and therefore putting more pressure in terms of the discounts per se?
Wow. So you actually...
Mr. Sriram, so there is a disturbance coming from your line. Request you to mute your line while the management answers your question.
Sure. Okay. So you actually asked 3 questions in one question. I'll no problem. I'll go each one of them one by one. I wrote it down. The first one is related to market share. See, actually the company market share has always consistently grew, and that is why without having any funding, we were able to reach this space, right? We had 6 deeply funded competitors whom we kept surpassing while remaining profitable and while they were in losses over the period of last 13 years. To give you an idea about the market share, the easiest way for me to tell you that we have gained market share is, let me compare myself with the industry leader. In FY19, industry leader was 5.6 times bigger than EasyMyTrip in selling air tickets, air segments. In FY20, that 5.6 changed to 4.2. which means they were 4.2 times bigger than EasyMyTrip. And in FY21, that number changed to 2.7. In the last financial year, the industry leader was 2.7 times bigger than us in terms of selling air segment. Now, this is how you can probably imagine at what speed we are heading towards gaining market share. This is the simplest comparison which is coming from the financials. Now, and I'm assuming that this particular trend will continue because we are gaining not via our marketing efforts, but by the goodwill the company has gained over the last 13 years by giving customers an option to not to pay convenience fees. I believe that might have answered your market share related question. The take rate related question, I think I've already answered twice, so I may skip that. The last question which you asked is related to the ClearTrip deal, which has happened recently, and the discount. So I believe that this was a distress sale. The company name you mentioned has been in existence for the last 16, 17 years. We have tremendous amount of respect for them, for the amount of work they have done, and we have learned a lot from them. However, I believe as entrepreneurs, it is our primary job. See, why do we do business? According to us, there are only 2 reasons. Reason number 1, to serve our customers very well. And reason number 2, to do it profitably so that we can do it over a long period of time. We can serve our customers over a long period of time. Now, I believe that the VC money and the PE money is a great money to solve the teething problems. But as an entrepreneur, I would be doing a lousy job if I was still dependent on the VC money and PE money even after 15 years of my existence. That means I have not paid much attention on my unit economics. And I believe this is the right time for the industry to wake up and smell the coffee that profitability matters. And I believe that going forward, the intensity of competition probably will diminish because there must be a lot of pressure on our competition as well to become profitable. And what are the means by which anybody can become profitable in this industry? To cut down on the discount, to cut down on the marketing, and to increase their conveniency. And I believe our company is well poised to gain market share with each of these steps anybody else who would be taking to become profitable one day.
Sure, sir. That was helpful, sir. So the other question was on the claims written back. We had around 31 crores or this year. We had explained in the past how we do the revenue recognition. So that if I see along with the balance sheet, other financial liabilities of 107.6 crores. Is it right to assume this amount on the balance sheet will get recognized over 2 years? Is there any change in terms of the revenue recognition policy that you want to effect? Any thoughts on that? And I have one more question on the balance sheet side, sir. Thank you.
There is no change in the policy. You're absolutely correct. The 107 amount which you are seeing as a liability will come in the future in the company as revenue over the next 2 years.
Understood, sir. Sir, one question on the balance sheet. On the asset side, we have seen the receivables come down quite sharply. They are around 58 crores to 29 crores. Now, this is what is to be read from this? And secondly, the contract liabilities, on the other hand, at 58 crores compared to 60 crores last year, while the GBR, while the gross booking revenues actually declined by 50%. How to read these two items, if you can help us understand that?
So trade receivable decreasing is only a good thing, right, for a company like us. And basically, primarily that has happened because this amount was usually the amount which corporates owed us. So our business mix is 87% of our business is B2C, 10% is B2B, which is travel agent, and 3% is corporate business. Now, unfortunately, in the last year, there was very little corporate travel, and because of which the trade receivable decreased, as what you're saying. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, sir, that makes sense. And on the contract liability, sir, which is at 58 crores compared to 60 crores, that hasn't really come down in line with the GBR. So what is to be read into that, sir?
So the contract liabilities is the advance which we have from the GDS, which is Global Distribution System. These are the advance amount which we will keep booking as our commission, as and when we keep using them to make tickets. And unfortunately, last year there wasn't that many GDS booking because international travel didn't happen so much. And that is why you didn't see too much of that number reduced.
Okay. Understood. But they didn't want their money back, so it is still lying there as a liability.
This money is basically an advance given to us, which we will keep accruing as revenue, as and when we keep using them to make bookings.
Understood, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I'll fall back with you on all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manish Poddar from Nippon India. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Just a clarification. So let's say the staff cost which you had for about roughly 21 crores for the full year, can you probably help me understand, let's say, the two promoters, what would be the remuneration for the full year? Because you've taken a revised remuneration proposal. So I just want to understand what was the number for FY21.
So for FY21, the numbers remain the same as what it was. However, we have revised the remuneration from April onwards.
So that is roughly 7 crores was the take of the 21. That is what the press release says. 4 crores 8 lakhs and 3 crores.
And for the current year, we have reduced it to 2 crores.
Okay. And so just wanted to understand, let's say this, 14-15 CR of staff costs other than, let's say, the two key people in the company. How do you actually, probably retain staff or attract new talent? You've added some people on the tech front also. So, given a lot of peers, are offering, let's say, very lucrative pays with, let's say, ESOP in the startup world. So how does really company attract and retain talent? Thank you.
So what you're asking is related to the culture of the company, of how we are able to attract talent without paying as much as our competitors can, right?
Right.
I'll share more detailed answer to this. See, we had to innovate in this direction as well because we knew our competition can offer much more salaries than we can. Now, the way we function is actually very different than our competitors. We usually hire freshers for our operation team, for our call centers. By the way, all call centers, operation, ticketing, cancelling, accounting is all in-house. When unlike our competitors. But the way we do it is we usually hire freshers, and the promise which we give to them is that we are going to train them on everything for the next 3 to 4 months. We train them on how to pick calls, how to chat, how to email, how to make a booking, how to cancel a booking, how to reschedule, how to act like a support staff, and how to use GDS system. So we train them very well, and they know that they are coming in EaseMyTrip for a hustle. They are coming in to learn as much as possible. This is the best place. EaseMyTrip could also be considered as travel university by the freshers. They come in, they give in all their hearts and energy to learn and then to perform in the company. And this is how the company has continuously grown and retained the customers by giving them much more on their plate rather than just departmentalizing them in one particular domain.
So the line for the current participant is disconnected.
No problem.
The next question is from the line of Hardik Jain from Whitestone Financial Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Most of my questions are answered. Just wanted to understand, sir, in terms of unit metrics, the direct cost that is involved for us is the payment gateway cost and the credit card cost. That's all, right? Or is there any other cost that you would like to mention?
Actually, your voice is
disturbance coming from your line.
There is a lot of disturbance. I could not even hear your question, but I'm assuming what you've asked is that what are our payment gateway charges? Is that your question?
Yeah, payment. So I just wanted to understand what are the direct costs that are.
The direct cost is absolutely right. The direct costs are related to payment gateway charges. If you put 100 rupees in EaseMyTrip, I will have to pay payment gateway charges, some amount, to get your 100 rupees. Now that amount, that percentage, is going down year by year because of the UPI payments. The UPI payments are extremely cheap or almost free, and that is why every time if somebody uses UPI payment, the payment gateway charges are almost negligible. And because of which, the component of payment gateway charges, the direct cost of payment gateway charges is only going south for the company.
Okay. And so, because this is the first call that I'm attending, if you can just explain what is this claims return back, because I could not understand that.
Well, it's actually a long conversation. I can just give you a very quick, small summary around it, and then we can take it offline. Basically, every time there is a no-show where the customer misses the flight, or in the cases where airline gave us the money to refund to you, but the amount was not greater than 300 rupees because our own cancellation service charges are 300 rupees per passenger. So let's say airline gave me 200 rupees to return to you, but my own cancellation service charges are 300 rupees. I retain that amount as a liability on my books for 2 years, and at the end of 2 years, I call it as UAC, which is claims written back. And at the end of 2 years, I book it as a revenue. It's just that the money is coming to us 2 years later. That is why we have, for the auditing purposes, for the statutory purposes, we have to put it in the other income. However, we consider that money as our own revenue from operations.
And for these 2 years, this will sit on the balance sheet as a financial liability.
That is correct. For the 2 years, it will sit in the balance sheet as other financial liabilities. The reason why it reflects so much on our book is that we have taken a customer-centric approach to give him 2-year time period to claim this money. While our competitors usually keep 3 months to 6 months. Now, if we were also to keep it for 3 months to 6 months, 3 months or 6 months, then this money will go back within the same financial years, and hence it will become part of revenue from operation. But we take a customer-centric approach by giving customers an option to keep, and we keep this money parked for 2 years for customers to come and claim dispute if there is any.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Keshav Lahoti from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, I just want to understand, the commission rates have improved during the quarter, so as a percentage of GPR have improved. So how should we see this going forward?
So I think, as I mentioned earlier, this is basically a deal which happens between us and our suppliers, which are airlines, hotels, and tour operators and the bus operators. Usually we give them advance. However, in these times and these periods, these testing times and these testing periods, our company has taken a conscious call of giving them money slightly more in advance to get better commission. And also, there is another reason why our percentage has gone high. That is, as I mentioned earlier, we have automated the services like you can pay for your baggages, you can add a meal, or you can change your seat. All this has been automated during the COVID time. And for all these auxiliary services, the airlines are more than happy to provide much, much better commission to companies like ours. And that is also another reason why our take rate might have increased.
Okay. So what should be the ideal take rate in a normal situation for a company like you?
See, our company has always been profitable in a very healthy way, even before these high take rates. So to be honest, we are not super worried that whether these take rates will continue or exist or not. Right now, what we are worried of, the thing which keeps us awake at night is to ensure that we keep eating more and more market share, we keep progressing in that direction, and we do it profitably. See, this company has a very basic tenet to do whatever we do in a unit profitable way. And we will continue to do it in the same fashion as what we have done in the last 13 years. So this is what is keeping our company, this is what is keeping us awake at night, and we are working towards it. We are not super bullish on making sure that these take rates continue in the future, because these are deals which happen, during the circumstances which arises.
Okay. One last question from my side. As you can see in the financial, your hotel revenue goes into negative. Can you explain that part?
So that is basically the commissions which we get from the hotel is between 10 to 15%. For a rare instance, the company decided to give slightly more discount to test out that how much can be pushed during the COVID period to sell our hotels. And that is why you see the revenue for one particular part come out as negative, which is where we gave slightly more discounts than what we anticipated. And I think we have corrected that in the quarter 4.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shaleen Kumar from UBS. Please go ahead. The person you are speaking. The current participant has placed the call on hold. So we move on to the next question. The next question is from the line of Vikrant Malhotra from IIFL Wealth. Please go ahead. Mr. Vikrant.
Hi, Prashant. Hello.
Yes.
Hi, Prashant. Congratulations on an excellent set of numbers. My question primarily was more generic in terms of how the industry is progressing. I just wanted to have your view, since you very rightly said that post-lockdowns, the volumes in this business are going to go extremely high. There's going to be a lot of revenge booking coming in. Do you think that competition can very well follow your strategy of not charging convenience fee and gain market share over EMP, or do you think they will continue to bleed cash for market share? Because since you are the only very reputed listed name in this business, the other ones continue to remain unlisted and their game normally remains towards valuation. So I just wanted to have your generic view on how you think once volumes kick in, the progress would be.
Sure. So, Vikrant, thanks for this question. Basically, to answer the question whether our competition will also follow our footsteps, the answer is that they could if they want to. But what we have not seen is that this has not happened in the last 13 years of our existence. 13 years of our existence, and there is a reason why our competition might have a trouble following our strategy. See, we are profitable even without charging convenience fees, while our competition is in losses even after charging convenience fees. This is the irony of the situation. Now, in order for them to let go of this huge amount of convenience fees, they will have to restructure their company completely from bottom to top and change their operational efficiencies, attain the operational efficiencies as what our company was built upon. Then there might be a possibility that they'll be able to do it, but we have seen no sign of any such happening in the last 13 years. So rest is all speculation, and I may not be able to comment on it.
Great, Prashant. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manik Taneja from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on great execution. I just wanted to get your sense on a couple of things. Number one thing is that our take rates right now are higher than peers, despite us being probably about 1/3 of the largest player on the airline side. So what is essentially driving that? Is it basically a higher share of deposit incentives for us? If you could help us understand that. And the second question was with regards to some more of a bookkeeping question. So just wanted to understand how has the GBR moved on a sequential basis for you between 3Q FY21 and 4Q 21? And the reason why I ask you this is because in a situation wherein business is recovering after the first hit of COVID, one wants to understand the way rebound essentially is happening. Thank you.
So to your first question, to be honest, I will have a very difficult answer to answering why we are on the higher side compared to our competition. It's basically, the founders hustle, right? We as founders, we are directly involved in the business. We are hustling with the airlines. We are talking to them on daily basis. We are generating ideas with them on daily basis to see what is the best we can get back. Also, there might be other reasons. If you study the financials very properly for our competition, you will find that the margins they take is only from the standalone flights, not from the holidays. Since they do sell a lot of holiday packages, the margins for the flight which they earn in holidays goes to the holiday department, not in the flight department. While the denominator is all the flights. So that is why there could be some skewing in the percentage which our competition might be projecting. However, I'm unable to comment further on this. We are doing what best we can do for the company as what we have done in the past. What was your second question? I missed out.
My second question was with regards to if you could give us some sense on how has in 4Q you registered a GBR of about 907 crores. How would that compare with the 3Q FY21 performance? Because it helps us give us some.
Okay, so you mean what was it for the Q3? For the Q3, I believe that number was around 7. I would be wrong over here. I don't remember that number on top of my head, but I think it was somewhere around 800 crores.
About 800 crores.
So about 800.
From that standpoint, if I look at the sequential rebound that we have seen, it could essentially be lower than what some of our competition has seen, if that number is about 800 crores in terms of sequential rebound.
So you're saying that we did a lesser of rebound compared to our competition. Is that
I'm saying if I'm just comparing 3Q versus 4Q.
So honestly speaking, I do not have the numbers of what our competition has done, but I think, and as I said, that my number, the best guess to me is 800, it could be 750, it could be 700. So unfortunately, I will not be able to say whether we actually rebounded in the same fashion or not.
Sure. Thank you and all the best for the future.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashwin Mehta from Ambit Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. Just one question. So when we talk to your competitors, what they say is almost half of their commissions are coming through the convenience fee. In your case, you don't charge convenience fee and still the commissions work out to say 10% say in this quarter. So from that perspective, if you can just throw some light in terms of what is it that the airlines are saying.
I keep forgetting the second question, so it's better that I answer this question and then you ask next question.
Yeah, sure.
Is that okay? All right. So it's a very valid question, and the answer to that is we do charge convenience fees if you are using a discount coupon. So in our entire percentage, there is a convenience fees percentage as well. If you try EasyMyTrip, go on to easyMyTrip.com. If you do not use any discount coupon, you will sail through by a default coupon, which is EMP-NCA, which is no convenience fees, and you will go ahead by without paying convenience fees. But if you are using a discount coupon, then you will have to pay convenience fees to EasyMyTrip. And I will also share the rationale of why we have done that. See, earlier, I'm talking about back in the year 2015, 14-15, when our competition used to advertise flat 1,000 rupees off, right?
Yeah.
At that time, it wasn't exactly 1,000 rupees off, right? If two passengers are flying, then they are taking back 600 rupees in the format of convenience fees. And in a way, the discount is only for 400 rupees. Now, for us, we could only say flat 700 rupees in response, since we were not charging convenience fees in the first place, to have an apple-to-apple comparison. And at that time, we felt the customer felt that the offers on EasyMyTrip are not as lucrative because they only see the doorbusters, right? They only see 1,000 rupees off, 700 rupees off. Now, because of that, we realigned our strategy that whenever somebody is using a discount coupon, it has to be an apple-to-apple comparison. And if somebody is using a discount coupon on EasyMyTrip, they must also pay convenience fees just the way they are using discount coupon on our competition website. So that is why there is definitely a small percentage of portion which is coming from the convenience fees. And the other thing which I mentioned, in the last, question, which was you have to see how they are actually calculating their margin. That will give you some insight, which I think I explained a little bit earlier. So that's also another reason why their numbers might be slightly on the lower side for what the overall margin they actually generate from the flight business.
And just the second question, in terms of the deposit that we keep with the airlines or the suppliers, what's the quantum of that? Where does it show in your financials?
It shows in our financials in other current assets, which is at 81 crores right now, which was 29 crores earlier.
Okay. And just the last question, in our DRHP, we had indicated that we had close to around 56,000 agents. What would that number be for us right now?
See, actually that number, for that I will have to give you our historical context. The company, EasyMyTrip, started serving travel agents. For the first 3 years, we were primarily serving travel agents, and that is why we amassed humongous amount of travel agents all across India who were using EasyMyTrip. Now, in the current time, that number is not very relevant because not that many travel agents are able to sell their customers air tickets, right? The times have moved and so has EasyMyTrip. We were primarily a B2B company when we began, but now we are primarily a B2C company. So I say that almost about 1,000 to 1,500 active travel agents are using EasyMyTrip right now. However, we want to utilize this tremendous strength this company has to sell better holiday packages. I'll tell you exactly what we are doing, and it is also disclosed in our DRHP. Basically, in India, there are about 70 to 75,000 registered travel agents, of which 56,000 have used EasyMyTrip one point in a time. We have presence in every PIN code of India in the format of travel agent. Now, these travel agents are longing to do travel business. They no longer are able to sell hotels or flight because that's happening mostly directly through the OTAs. These people can do phenomenal job in selling holiday packages because holiday is a service, while selling flight or hotel is a commodity, where you need customers hand-holding in guiding them what holiday will suit their Jan requirement better, their Jan food requirement better, right?
Yeah.
So what we are doing is we have created a system by which these travel agents can pick and choose the bolts and the nuts of holidays from our system, which they already are very well aware of. So, for example, an XYZ travel agent in Agartala He wants to make the entire package himself. He just needs transfer from airport to hotel in Singapore. He can just buy that much amount from EaseMyTrip's agent panel for the holiday and serve their customer. This is how we are enabling our travel agents to sell better holiday packages, which is sell them as a unit. We are providing them the entire holiday package as well. Or using technology, they can even just pick and choose which particular part of holiday they want to choose and buy from EaseMyTrip for their customers.
Okay. Fair enough. Thanks a lot and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Madhu Basu from Canara HSBC. Please go ahead.
Sir, just on the ancillary revenues, like, preference seat or a meal and all, so what is the take rates we get there? And second, if you see the airline end industry is consolidating in favor of IndiGo, which is now having 55 to 60% of market share. So whether that would directionally put pressure on the yields going forward in the take rates, because I think IndiGo is almost achieving kind of a monopoly there. Thanks.
So, to answer your first question, to be honest, I don't think so I can give you the exact number because it is not disclosed anywhere in our financials. But it is slightly on the higher side. It is above 15% as a take rate for the auxiliary services. It also varies. Actually, let me take my statement back. It depends on airlines to airlines. But this number is pretty good because airlines are also more than happy that our customers have pre-booked the meal or has chosen a particular seat because of which they are earning extra commissions. So the commissions on that are actually on the higher side. And question number 2 related to IndiGo gaining the market share. See, for that, I would recommend you to go through the study of either CRISIL or Goldman Sachs, which will tell you that the dependency on OTA, which is us, online travel agency, is only increasing with time. And I'll give you the rationale why. See, earlier we used to work on laptops, but now we are on mobile all the time. And on mobile, to compare prices between 7 different airlines is almost 5 times more tedious than doing it on desktop where you can open different tabs easily. And that is since most of the traffic is coming on mobile, customers' preferred choice is also to go to an OTA to search for the price, since he's giving multiple options for flights, for hotels, for buses, within the flights for multiple airlines, and just go ahead with their booking. So worldwide, the dependency on OTA and the booking is shifting more towards the OTA rather than going opposite. So clearly, and then there are also new players coming in. AirAsia has come in and is grabbing market share very aggressively. And India itself is a very different, India itself is a very different, in different zone compared to the West. See, India is a growing economy where, as per the Goldman Sachs report, this industry is supposed to grow 15% per annum till FY25. While in the West, the industry is saturated. In India, new airports are coming. So I believe the airlines see us more as a partner in their growth rather than worrying about minuscule commissions which they provide us.
Okay, sir. Thanks and all the best.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to the time constraints, this was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Prashant Pitti for closing comments.
Well, thank you so much for all the questions. It was really, really pleasure to answer them. Most of the questions were very relevant, and I really appreciate whomever has asked those questions. To conclude, I would like to highlight that we have a huge runway towards the growth. There is still so much this company can do just on the air segment itself. Forget about all the other markets put together. We are increasing our wallet share from existing customers by selling them hotel and holiday. We are adding new customers. We are gaining more market share. And we are increasing our operational efficiencies by gaining more and more economies of scale. We believe we are very well positioned to capitalize on the growth opportunity and increase our profitability in the future. Thank you everyone for joining us. I hope we have been able to answer all your queries. And if you have any further queries, you may approach Orient Capital, who are our investor relationship partner. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Easy Trip Planners Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.